But I wasn't for everyone. I guess they were always scared that I'd be a psycho.
What's up, everybody? We just got done watching Disney's Cruella, and we're coming at you with our review.
That's right, and I'm sure many of you Disney Plus holders are wondering, should I pay the $30 to see this movie, or would it be better just to wait a couple months till it comes out? Well, stick around because we're about to find out.
All right, guys, Disney's Cruella. This movie stars Emma Stone and Emma Thompson. Billy, who else do we got in this movie?
All right, Josh, so we got Joel Fry from Game of Thrones. He played in a lot of the scenes in Marine where he was one of the advisors to the Khaleesi. We got Paul Walter Hauser, who did a great job in the show on Netflix called The Kingdom, or not The Kingdom, but Kingdom. We got...
Yeah, I also liked him from Cobra Kai as Stingray.
Yeah, that was a great character. I like this character on Cobra Kai. He's a great actor, really. He just, you haven't seen him in much yet. I think he's an up-and-coming guy, and I think we're probably going to see more of him in the future because I really like his acting.
For sure.
And then we got Mark Strong, who, a lot of times you see this guy playing a villain. He played in, Sherlock Holmes, played in The Kingsman, he played in Shazam, and he's one of those bald guys, right? You just see him and you just know, oh man, I've seen that guy in a ton of stuff. He's just got that.
He's got that Stanley Tucci thing going on.
Exactly. Yep. He's got that Stanley Tucci thing going on.
All right. So what did you think about the cast and how they did in this movie?
I thought it was fantastic. So I thought they did a great job just putting this cast together, just just how well they reacted to each other in it. Just the friendships developed between, Emma Stone, as Cruella and her two counterparts.
Yeah, it was, I'm telling you what, the cast is a standout to me. Everyone's on their A game. Both the Emmas. Emma Stone is great in this, especially like her range of character in this. Emma Thompson, she's kind of like a Devil Wears Prada kind of role.
It's foolish. Unhinged. Well, you're fired. Why are you speaking?
Yeah, she is.
The Melinda character, I mean, it's very similar. This movie kind of has a little bit of Devil's Wears Prada and Ocean's like 11 in it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I was saying a minute ago, too, was Jasper and Horace, the names I was trying to remember, right? Everybody who's seen 101 Dalmatians knows that Cruella de Vil has her two henchmen, Jasper and Horace. But I like how they developed the way they met in this movie. I like how it kind of starts out, they're orphans together and they kind of grow up together and they develop a good relationship. Whereas I'm not quite as happy as the way she treats them later on in the movie, especially with as much help as
they're
they're
not
giving her.
your typical goons, though.
No, they're not in this movie. Whereas in 101 Dalmatians, they were, right? In 101 Dalmatians, they were typical mindless goons. Where in this movie, they give them a lot of depth. Give them a lot of depth in this movie. Put some funny stuff in there with them.
They might be some of the best. I mean, everyone's really good, so it's hard to say, but they are definitely good in this.
Yeah, they were outstanding in this movie. And like I said, just that dynamic they had, with Emma Stone and just kind of how they were all orphans together and kind of grew up, doing the things they were doing to survive, right? Doing just kind of shady burglaries and robberies and, just being your typical street thieves. And I like the dynamic they had there. And I like, again, how they made those two guys smart, right? It wasn't just her coming up with the ideas for some of these, capers. They were coming up with them as well with her, right? They were coming up with good ideas and kind of how to do stuff. And they were both very technically apt. Right, they knew how to deal with technical equipment. Jasper could play the guitar.
Yeah, Jasper's character kind of gets it. And he's just he sees like the problems, but he kind of goes along with it. But he's like one of the smarter characters in this.
Yeah, no, he absolutely is. So I mean, the cast was great. I think they all did an outstanding job. And even Mark Strong as the what was he in that movie? I guess he was the valet, right? Yeah. So he played the valet.
He's kind of like. The number 2 in this movie.
Exactly. Yeah. So he was the valet for Emma Thompson and kind of
and she's the Baroness and he's like her main henchman.
Right.
Kinda.
So she's the main villain. He's her main henchman, but he's more than that, right? He's the only real person that has her ear. She thinks she's better than the world, but this guy is the only guy that she may consider an equal, I guess, right? Where she doesn't really look down on him. She kind of takes what he says and listens to him and hears him out, whereas anybody else, for the most part, she just doesn't even want to hear their opinion.
Now, what do you think about the Artie character? This guy's kind of like a David Bowie kind of character from Labyrinth.
Labyrinth, yeah, no, yeah, they did a great job making him like the Goblin King in Labyrinth, right? Even with the makeup and with the hair and the way he dresses, and they made him.
He's a very eccentric character.
Yeah, he's an eccentric guy, but he gets up there and he's got a good voice. He's singing. He's got a kind of a song and dance routine in it where they're doing a fashion show, and he owns his own fashion store basically where he sells antique clothes, for a better term, I guess. What's the word for that, Josh?
Heck, I don't know. That's my line of work here.
We're not fashion experts, but he sells older, vintage. There we go, vintage clothing. He owns a vintage clothing store. But he's not in 101 Dalmatians, but I like what he brought to this movie, and I thought he was a pretty good character in here. And they make him a little devilish himself, right? Because even though they make him eccentric, and in that time and age,
he's always ready for trouble.
He's always ready for trouble, and he's always right there in with with all of Emma Stone's ideas and the capers that she's got planned.
You in? I do love trouble.
Yeah, I mean, he was another strong character. I mean, I don't think there's anybody in this movie that doesn't bring it. Everyone is just fantastic. I don't think there's a weak character in the story, especially how they're portrayed.
No, I agree. It was very well done, well put together.
That was kind of a surprise for me for this movie.
Yeah, no, you and me both. I went into this movie not expecting much, and it surprised me.
I had zero expectations for this movie. I really didn't even care to see it, but it really impressed me.
Absolutely, and really one of the reasons we saw it, right? Because we wanted to get a feel, which I'm sure many of you would do. With these Disney movies coming out and the way Disney's charging you $30 to see them extra, it's like, okay, is it worth it to do this? Let's check this movie out and see if Disney's really bringing something that's worth $30, right, to watch. Since you're already paying for the subscription anyway, are they bringing extra stuff to it that's really says, okay, you know what, I didn't mind paying that $30 for it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if this was going to be a phoned-in type of Disney movie or what, and I don't really like their business model that they're doing with this Disney Plus premiere where you pay $30 and you essentially sort of get to own the movie without owning it. You only have access to it as long as you have Disney Plus. I'd rather personally just pay it the money and own it outright. But that's the model we're into, and I don't really care for it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to pay the extra $30, Disney should let you download the movie and keep it. So when you buy it in the store on Blu-ray or 4K or whatever, you're paying like $20 to $30 for it, and you own it. So at this point, Disney really should allow you, once you pay that $30, you should own the movie, and it shouldn't just go away along with your Disney Plus account if you ever decided to end Disney Plus.
Now, what did you think about the music in this movie?
I love the music, man. Love the music. We had some Rolling Stones action. You had The Doors. You had Deep Purple, Florence and the Machine. I mean, I could go on and on. And there was a lot of music in this movie. I mean, for a movie that's not a musical, and there was a lot of music that just went along with almost every scene, right? I mean, they had a different song for every scene in this, but the songs fit the scenes, and it was outstanding. I mean, great music from the 70s. Just did very well job with the soundtrack.
I would tell you, this is like a 2-hour plus movie, and sometimes I do feel like it drags a little bit, but just when you're kind of getting bored, a new cool scene comes up. They started off with the music, and it kind of gets you right back into it.
Absolutely, yeah. The music in this was phenomenal. I don't think they could have done a better job with it. I mean, I think the way they, the songs, the way they picked up for the scenes, and just how everything fit together was great.
Okay, so the actual movie, what do you think about how it starts off?
I liked it. I liked how it started off. I liked how they started off showing kind of the background of Cruella and how
she's young.
She's young, and her, and when she's young, her name's not Cruella. Her name's Estella. And it starts out as this young girl, Estella, and starts giving you and Cruella is actually narrating through the story, which is cool. She kind of the narrative perspective as the story's going along. So I like that. I like how it shows her growing up. It kind of shows what happens to her, how she becomes an orphan, how she meets Horace and Jasper and their dynamic together, which we mentioned, and just how great that is, seeing them all grow up together. And then just kind of how it plays out into how she actually becomes Cruella and ends up becoming the evil person that she is in 101 Dalmatians.
Okay, so getting into the real meat of the story, what did you think?
I thought it was good. I thought they did a good job putting the story together. There was really, I was expecting maybe to see some plot holes and maybe some stuff left unexplained, but there really wasn't. I thought the storyline went along really well. There wasn't a lot of plot holes. I mean, from the beginning to the end, it left you feeling like you didn't miss anything, right? Like they didn't leave anything out. It left you feeling like, they filled in any gap that you could potentially think of.
They covered a lot in this movie.
They did, absolutely. A lot more than I thought they were going to. Like I said, I didn't, just like you, I didn't go into this movie expecting much, but I enjoyed it.
And a lot of these characters aren't very one-dimensional, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, yeah. They're all
There's arcs on like
dimensional.
several characters in this.
Oh yeah, and,
So,
and even even the American actors in this movie, because it's all they all speak British in the movie. They all did great jobs with their British
I
accents as
did
well.
love the setting of this being in like England and that kind of stuff, and I thought
Yeah.
that was really cool.
Oh, it was and all the cool the cars from back then,
Yep,
and
the
everything
vehicles
was
and
awesome.
everything,
Yeah.
the houses and the
Yep.
decor and everything like that was pretty
Yeah,
good.
and even the CG stuff in the movie, for some of the stuff, the scenes they did and stuff was put together really well, especially like some of the darker scenes, outside and stuff. I thought was really good the way they had that put together.
I even
Yeah.
thought some of the dresses and stuff they showed off were pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah,
So-
they did have some cool dresses. Well, and then let's not forget, in the spirit of 101 Dalmatians, in that movie, a lot of the movie is about the dogs, right? And they don't let you down here in Cruella either. I mean, the dogs in this movie play a very, very good role, right? They play a big role in this movie.
The dogs are a character all to themselves, and I think they look CG to me. It looked like it was kind of a mix of some real
Yeah.
dogs and definitely a lot of CG dogs. But I thought the dogs like add a lot to this with the comedy and stuff like that, and
Yeah,
what
oh,
they
yeah.
did with them and how they used them. I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, and they utilize the dogs in their capers, so they help them. They're like little mini thieves themselves in a lot of parts. And even even there are Dalmatians in this movie, and even just the aspect they had with them, and kind of the dynamic between them and Cruella and Jasper, and even Emma Thompson, and kind of how they react to everybody was good. I thought it was a really good way the way they put the dogs kind of center stage in some scenes. And that just gave you the good feel for that dog aspect of the movie, which you had in 101 Dalmatians, and they of course they kept in this one as well.
So, what did you think about Emma Stone's character? And kind of like from her point of view, we've seen this in Wicked, the play, and more people are doing this from like the villain's perspective, trying to make them seem good in some sense.
Yeah, I mean, Emma Stone in the movie gives you a reason of why she is the way she is, right? Why she has to be this heartless, character. Because in business, she said, she basically gives you the thing saying that, well, if you're in the business world, especially as a woman, you got to be heartless to make it up on top, right? You can't care about anybody else. You only care about yourself. So it kind of gives you understanding why she is the person she is in this, and how she became just this heartless villain in the show. So I like that. I liked how they did that with her, and her acting was phenomenal.
I thought they
playing
played
that role.
her really well because she is a little nutty. She's not like portrayed as squeaky clean and stuff like that. So she's got a little dual personality to
Yeah.
her. She's almost like a little Two-Face and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like you can see like a little like super villain-esque going on there.
Absolutely, and what you mentioned earlier, the Devil Wears Prada thing. Yeah, she's very Meryl Streepish in this.
Whether you have the killer instinct is the big question.
And she does a really good job just filling that role, just like Meryl Streep did in Devil Wears Prada, as far as just being this head fashion designer who is, it's my way or the highway, and I'm right, you're wrong, even if you are right, kind
Are
of
you
thing.
talking about
So,
Emma Thompson there, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and Emma
Emma
Thompson
Thompson,
for
yeah.
this was fantastic as well. Just like you said, the Devil Wears Prada character. I mean, she's like throwing chairs and like hitting people and saying you were in the way kind of deal. I mean, I love it. I love the way she portrayed this character.
Yeah, absolutely. She was fantastic. I mean, both Emmas in this movie just did a phenomenal job, I thought. I mean, from the accents to just the way they portrayed each character, and even Emma Stone bouncing back and forth between the good girl and then the Cruella, right? From Estella to Cruella, she did an excellent job just bouncing back and forth between those two characters when she had to, and just putting on the good, innocent girl face and being the nice kind of person who gets stepped all over, to being just the wicked woman who's like, you're gonna do what I tell you to, and I don't care about your feelings, kind of thing. Where which obviously Emma Thompson portrays that role completely through the whole movie. So I mean, I thought Emma Stone did a great job going back and forth with characters like that.
Now, who do you think this movie's for? Because it's kind of rated PG-13. Is this a kids movie? Who
No,
who are they targeting? For
I would
this
say
movie, you
this
think?
is. I'd say this for people more our age, right? People who grew up with 101 Dalmatians and some of those older Disney movies and books. I mean, I remember having the book when I was a kid. The original Disney cartoon. We were growing up as kids, and we remembered Cruella and her character. And this is kind of give just a good backstory on her. And I think they did a good job for it, making it more geared towards where it's not a kids movie, but adults can enjoy it.
Yeah, I think they hit the right mark here where kids, I think, will enjoy it because of the dogs and the comedy and what's going on. And they made it interesting for adults too, which I love. And I think it hits like all audiences.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think so as well. And like I said, I think they did a really good job just making sure they didn't make it too kiddish. But they put that good blend in there, and they made it to where, like I said, for me, honestly, I really think it's more for adults. I think it's more for adults who, remember watching 101 Dalmatians as kids and just getting that nostalgia when you're watching this, saying, "Oh yeah, man, Cruella. Let's this is great how they're putting together a movie showing us how she became who she is, right? Because you never got that in the past. You just remember Cruella Deville as this wicked person who wants to kill a bunch of puppies and make coats out of them. But then they give you her backstory here and now kind of show you that no, that's not how she always was. She actually did have a heart. She was an orphan, and then it just gives you that good understanding of how she grew into that person that she became.
Yeah, and I think they did some smart things there, especially with like the Dalmatians and things like that.
Yeah.
I think they played that really well.
No, I did too. Yeah, they did a great job with that. Without giving away any spoilers, there's some scenes in there where you wonder if she's gonna be the kind of Cruella she was in 100 Dalmatians, where she's wanting to kill dogs and make coats out of them. You're like, oh, is they gonna kind of portray that in this movie? So we're not gonna ruin that for you, but there's a little of that aspect to it as well. So I like how they threw that in there.
Now this movie ain't perfect, right? It does have some mistakes and probably some gripes.
Yeah,
what
some minor
gripes
ones.
do you have with this movie?
So there's a couple minor gripes. For instance, the car getaway scene, right? So they're trying to get away from this scene. They're trying to get away from the police. They jump in. Emma Thompson steals a car, or not Emma Thompson. Emma Stone steals a car, right? And she hotwires it, and then she's driving. And Horace and Jasper are like, "Whoa, are you okay? You've never driven a car before." And she's like, "No, I got it." Of course, she's bumping into tons of other cars. But if she's never driven a car before, how is she able to hotwire it?
That is kind of odd. And
Right,
like
so-
the very next scene, she's riding a motorcycle, doing like circles and
Yeah,
stuff.
doing
on
donuts,
it.
right.
Didn't drive a car, but knows how to like do like stunts on motorcycles and
Yeah,
stuff
oh, yeah.
almost like that. So I mean, these are like minor things. They don't like really detract from the movie, but they're there.
Yeah, but I mean, but really, I mean, the good thing is, if those are the only gripes we have, small stuff like that, it just goes to show how well put together this movie was, right? There was no major, no major flaws aside from just small stuff like that, which can easily be overlooked, and it's like, okay, whatever.
There's some questionable burglary scenes. Like one
Yeah.
scene, like a guy looks like he's like Spider-Manning from the ceiling, putting something down, which is like, how can you not notice this guy? But it's
Yeah.
lighthearted fun.
Right,
stuff,
or
so.
there's another burglary scene where they're both going down from ropes, right? And Horace is a big dude. He's not a little guy,
Yeah,
but
that
they
dude is huge. So
they make him look like he's as nimble as a 90-pounder, right? And
yeah.
he just up and
that
down that
dude's
rope
up
like
that
it's nothing.
rope
So
in like 2 seconds, and he's
Right.
pulling it up. I'm like, no, I don't think so. I don't think like
right, no way.
like a MARSOC Navy SEAL guy's getting up that quick.
Right,
So
right, exactly.
okay, so how do you think this movie concluded? Were you pretty happy with the ending? How it
Yeah, I
wrapped
was.
up? 'Cause-
I like the ending. I like how it wrapped up because it gave you a good conclusion to the story. It gives you a good understanding of how Cruella got her wealth. It gives you, a good understanding of again, how she became the person she is. And then it just puts good closure on her situation, right? I think it gives good closure to her situation and to her issues that she had when she was younger and some of the things that she didn't know about her life. So I think it ended really well.
Yeah. Movies lately haven't ended well for me, and it leaves kind of like a bad taste in your mouth. But this movie, I thought, did an excellent job the way it wrapped up. I mean, if I felt very satisfied from the ending, which is always good when you take that with you, and it leaves you on a high note, and that's what this movie kind of did.
Yeah,
for me.
no, I agree 100%. This movie definitely just had that feel good ending that you wanna see in a movie. You want that closure in a movie, and this movie definitely gives you that closure into leading up to 101 Dalmatians, saying, okay, cool, I totally understand this character now. Now I know why she is the way she was, and and I'm satisfied, right? I'm satisfied with how they explained how she turned out. So I thought that was really good how they did that.
Okay, so what do you rate this movie?
I gotta tell you, man, I'm gonna give this movie an easy 8.
Whoa,
I mean-
whoa, hold on. You just gave A Quiet Place 2 a 6,
Yeah.
and now you're giving this movie an 8.
Absolutely.
Explain yourself.
Explain myself. I think I explained it pretty well in A Quiet Place too. That movie was just kind of all over the place. There wasn't, the whole quiet part went out the window. There's a lot of stupid stuff that happened that didn't happen in the first one. The ending was wide open, left you not understanding what's going on. I just, Quiet Place 2 let me down big time, and kind of like you said, Quiet Place 1 was so good, you were expecting 2 to be a 9. And so when it wasn't, and it wasn't even near as good as the first one, it's just a huge letdown, and this movie wasn't that way. This movie it was a good story from beginning to end. There was no plot holes at all in this movie. I mean, it explains everything all along the way, so you know what you're getting when you're watching it. I mean, the music was great in it. The acting was phenomenal in it. And it left you not wanting anything after, right? I felt completely satisfied after watching this movie. I didn't need anything else to help further the story. I got good closure out of it. And I thought it was excellent. I think Disney did an excellent job when they put this movie together.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I had zero expectations going into this movie. I was
Right.
very excited for A Quiet Place 2, and we were just going to do this to get a review out. I didn't really even care to see it. but this movie really surprised me. And I don't know if that's what changed. Like the expectations were through the roof for A Quiet Place, and no expectations for this. And this movie really surprised me. So I'm right there with you. I'm giving this movie an 8 out of 10. I actually enjoyed it more than A Quiet Place 2, which is surprising for me. Again,
Yeah,
I didn't
you and
think
me
I'd
both.
like this movie at all, and it was pleasantly, surprisingly good.
Yeah,
I
it was
really
great.
enjoyed it. Yeah.
So the answer to the question that all you other Disney Plus owners are wondering, Josh, is this movie worth paying the $30?
Yeah, now that's the real question, because I don't
Right.
really like doing that. If we weren't doing this show, I'm not sure I would probably have done it, but it's good. So yeah, I would probably say it's worth seeing, especially if your kids are yearning to see a movie. This is a pretty good family movie to watch.
Yeah, it is, and I agree with you. Had you and I not said, okay, let's review this movie, there's no way I'd have paid the $30 to watch it. But now that we did, I'm glad. I'm glad I did. I'm glad we got to see the movie because it was well worth the watch. I thought it's a great family movie, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at paying the $30 for it. I mean, is it bad that you don't actually get to own the movie for paying the 30? Yeah, and I think Disney needs to do something about that potentially. But as far as just a good family film and just having the family together on a weekend, like now Memorial Day weekend, just get something to do. I think it's a great movie to watch.
All right, guys, that's our review on Cruella.
All right, we'll catch you next time.
See you guys.